Brian Schottenheimer benched, for lack of a better word, both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens for the opening possession of the game for the Cowboys against the Raiders for missing some things. We don't know what they are. We can speculate, blah, 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 blah. They clearly did something to upset Brian Schottenheimer. On one hand, I fully understand and agree with the thought of Brian Schottenheimer wants to hold everybody accountable, right? Nobody's above the law. Everybody has to be held at the same standard. You can be the best players on the team. You can argue certainly that George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are in that group, and you're still going to be punished if you do something that is deserving of punishment. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I support Brian Schottenheimer in that regard. My only beef with the situation is, okay, your punishment for them is benching them the first possession of the game. What does that really accomplish, right? Is this more of a symbolic punishment than anything else? Clearly, right? And you can get really deep in the weeds and argue that you're risking, the game, because what if you need those points and you could have had them? I'm not even going that far. My point is, this was not a story at all. This was not something that the world was aware of on any level, that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens had missed some things. And Brian Schottenheimer, in making this a thing, made it a thing. It was nothing to the whole world, but now it's something to the world because of the way that Brian Schottenheimer chose to handle it. And look, the results certainly speak to Brian Schottenheimer's decision being a sound judgment, because both Lamb and Pickens were extraordinary against the Raiders. Now, was that because they were benched to start the game? I'm not going to get into those weeds either, but I certainly can argue with the results. My only point, my only pushback to that is the punishment was very light in terms of the actual, price they had to pay, again, for lack of a better term here. So if you want to punish them, if you want to do something, maybe there's a more effective way to handle it to where you're not all of a sudden making a headline that's going to be on national television for the next few days. But if that was a risk that Brian Schottenheimer was willing to take, he obviously rolled the dice. And again, he's got the results to justify that his decision worked out. So I cannot objectively criticize or disagree with Brian Schottenheimer. It was a situation that was kind of wild to start the game. But again, he's the one who has the win in his hand after the game. And so history is written by the winners. So good for you, Brian Schottenheimer. The pen is in your hand.